years. According to leaked documents, Zelensky and his inner circle held 10 offshore shadow companies which did business with Zelensky's old boss, the oligarch Igor Kolomoisky. Kolomoisky was accused of stealing $5.5 billion from investors in a pyramid scheme he orchestrated through his bank. This led to accusations that Zelensky was getting rich off Kolomoisky's crimes. Through these shell companies, Zelensky and his partners reportedly purchased about $8 million worth of real estate in London. By October of 2021, Zelensky, who was elected with 73% of the vote, again under promises to bring peace to the Donbas region and to end corruption in Ukraine, had failed to deliver on his promises. He had, in fact, done the opposite, and his approval rating hovered at around 27%. But then, just 4 months later, the story surrounding Vladimir Zelensky dramatically changed. Russia crossed Ukraine's border with soldiers and tanks in what the Russian government called a special military operation, and then it happened. Zelensky traded his suit and tie for olive green. Well, kind of olive green everything, right? And overnight became a darling of Western media. The timing was perfect. In fact, maybe too perfect.
So he's put forward as a it's the traditional Marvel Comics hero-villain scenario. He's a hero, he's a good guy, stands for everything good, and he's attacked by the equivalent of Lex Luthor in a Superman movie, which would be the evil Vladimir Putin. And they've been, pretty successful with that in the United States simply because that's the only story that's allowed to get out.
So Zelensky was made into a hero, and Russia was labeled the aggressor, wanting only to rebuild the old Soviet Union. But the truth is that the 2022 invasion was far from unprovoked. Despite what you're going to hear in establishment mainstream media, Russia had spent decades warning of dire consequences if NATO continued to expand, and months urging the United States and NATO to formally declare that Ukraine would not join their military alliance. Only months after Russia's 2022 invasion, there were signs that this conflict would be a short-lived one. Reports came out that Ukraine and Russia were coming to a peace agreement. Foreign Affairs stated that, quote, according to multiple former senior U.S. officials we spoke with, in April of 2022, Russian and Ukrainian negotiators appeared to have tentatively agreed on the outline of a negotiated interim settlement.
In fact, Ukraine was already touting that, okay, we've almost got agreement, we have this and that that's not quite agreed. And then the Prime Minister of Great Britain, Boris Johnson, came flying into Kiev unannounced, and he had a sit down with Zelensky and told him in no uncertain terms, you're going to get back to war, cut out this business of talking peace.
Here's former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett discussing the Ukraine-Russia peace deal, which he says was sabotaged.
צריך להמשיך להכות בפוטין ולא להגיע, אבל שאל מול, זאת אומרת, הגישה היותר תקיפה, אני אגיד לך משהו, אני לא יודע להגיד שהם שגו, ומתווך, אבל הכתובת שלי זה אמריקה בעניין הזה, ואני לא פועל על דעת עצמי. כל פעולה שעשיתי הייתה מתואמת לפרטי פרטים, גם עם ארצות הברית, גם עם גרמניה, גם עם צרפת.
אז הם בעצם חדלו את זה?
בגדול, כן. בגדול הם חדלו את זה.
Had the United States and Great Britain not intervened at that moment, had the peace talks been allowed, this war would have ended